How many people really know what it means when you saw resilience on the ad for tonight's lecture? Raise your hand if you know what resilience is. Okay, so most of you know a little bit about resilience, but it's a word, right? So I want to start off by defining what are we going to be doing here tonight, okay? And the truth of the matter is that after I was asked to give workshops for healing and health professionals in Ashdod, right in the middle of the war, and literally in the middle of one of my workshops, we had to run to the shelter, okay? So A.A.C.I spoke to me about almost 2 months ago, and we spoke about offering something for them like I was offering in Modi'in and Yerushalayim. I spoke at the OU Center during the summer, etc. And it took a little bit of time because the A.A.C.I wanted to do this national. And the reality is that between the time that I first spoke with the A.A.C.I and tonight, we're in a different situation. We're not talking about, how to deal with what happened this summer. We're talking about how to deal with this summer and now what's happening now. And that reminds me of something. I have friends in Los Angeles, and it happened on a Friday night, that they were outside their house, and some guy came and put a gun to the husband's head, and then left him alone, and walked around the block. Excuse me, can I ask somebody to shut the door? The guy walked around the block, and then he came back again and put the gun to the guy's head. The second experience was worse than the first. Okay? So here we are. We're after the summer. We were dealing with the sirens, dealing with the missiles, dealing with murders, with kidnappings, with all kinds of very traumatic and challenging experiences. Excuse me. Would you like to sit? Can you come sit in the front row and be with us? Or take this chair over here. Okay? And now, we're dealing with a situation which is, I'm being careful about what I'm saying, because my wife said, be careful not to say, and I listen to my wife, even though her name isn't Sarah, it's Sophie, but, God says listen to your wife. She says, be careful not to say things that might put you nice people in a more negative state. But I'm going to say something very, very candidly, because that's the way I work, and very honestly. When I came to Israel with my family in 2000, and the Antifada, second Antifada started again, and I was director of a multidisciplinary health center, a behavioral medicine center in Los Angeles, specializing in stress disorders. Okay? I called up the head of the stress disorder centers all over Israel. And I said, who's the head guy? This is Dr. Sheldon, I'm from LA. I want to know what's going on here. It seems to me that the way Israelis deal with this is denial. And there was silence on the phone, and then after a couple of seconds, a laugh, and then said, yeah, you're right. Okay? So I am wanting to balance something with you. And you know something? Is Yocheved here?
She went down to something. You asked for something?
Okay. No, you know what I want to do? This fan is disturbing my concentration. So when she comes back, we'll turn it back on. Maybe we'll look at the PowerPoint. I don't need PowerPoint. Okay. So I'm wanting to balance two things. I'm wanting to balance helping people to know how to look at reality in a way that isn't overwhelming, but at the same time gives enough information that allows you to make decisions that are good for you. Because people who go into denial about things, what happens is they end up sometimes, this is not a negative suggestion, by the way, okay? Anybody who's coming in, come on in, join the circle, make yourselves at home, and instead of sitting in the back row, just add a chair to the circle, please. Hi, I'm very happy you came. Okay? So, where was I?
About this you said not a negative suggestion. Denial.
Okay. So people who are in denial of what's happening on the emotional level or on the psychological level can end up, because they're suppressing it or repressing it, some are guards. I'll just wait for it to stop. If you have a phone, which you probably do, if you can stop it, that would be great.
How long will you say?
Okay? So what happens when we suppress our feelings, and not only our feelings, sometimes when we suppress our thoughts, you end up, not you, people end up going to a doctor, and everybody knows that the number one reason that people go to doctors, the underlying thing is stress. It can cause migraine headache, backaches, fasting colon, colitis, skin rashes, problems in family life, tempers, irritable bowel syndrome, all kinds of things. All of these things are stress-related disorders. Okay? And so it's important to know what's going on inside in a real way, in a loving way. You know something? We can.
Here, but I'm going to make some drops.
That's great. That's great. We'll make Bosch together. Okay? 1, 2. Great. This is called the old-fashioned way. Okay. Okay. And so it's better to be able to know what's really going on and know how to deal with it in a real way than ending up shalom in a doctor's office, or feeling anxious, or being depressed, or feeling disconnected and not knowing what's going on. Okay? So I want to balance those things with you. I was asked how long, I was hired to be here. I was asked when I came here, how long will I be here? I said, as far as I'm concerned, until the last person has the last question answered. Because once I schlep over here from my end to here, and I'm here, I'm very happy to just give you the and that is one of the ways that I deal with resilience. And since we're in Har Nof, I didn't know who would be coming or who wouldn't be coming, but of course, usually it's mostly women and a couple of guys who go with their wives, which is a good thing, courageous ones. Okay? I want to be able to really give you experiences tonight, tools tonight that you can take home. This isn't a movie that you're watching. This is going to be an experience where you're going to get information, you're going to learn to understand things, and you're going to learn how to acquire tools to deal with what's going on inside. And of course, however much each of you, can I ask you to join me, sir?
I'm fine.
You're fine over there?
Yeah.
You sure?
Good.
Naomi, you want to join me, sir?
What?
Join me, sir.
We're in the circle.
Please. Could you please?
Where do you want to go?
Let's take a chair and sit over.
This way I'm opposite, or is it on the other side?
Okay, as you like. Each of you will benefit to the extent that you participate. That might be participating with me, but it might be not participating with me. It might be being willing to be brave, as you said. What's your name? Ira. Ira. As Ira said, to be brave and to be able to go inside yourself and know what's going on. Now, one thing that I ask, people are invited here, nobody has to say anything, but people are invited and welcome to bring up any issue that you want to, and I'm here to help you with it. But what I do ask is that we all agree that there's confidentiality in the room, and that what gets spoken about in here doesn't leave the room, so that people will feel comfortable about it. Okay? So that's what I'm suggesting. Okay.
I have a question already.
Sure.
I'm in Israel for many, many years, and having gone through wars and husband in the army and son in the army and everything, I think I agree with you 100%. However, I do believe that there must be a certain percentage of denial in order to live in Israel.
Okay, I'm going to talk about that, and
Okay.
all of your questions are welcome, but because we don't have 3 months to do this, it's better for me to present and then ask your questions. Okay? And actually, one of the first things I'm going to talk about addresses your question. Literally, one of the first things I'm going to say. Now, I gave everybody who came in, or Sheila gave, a sheet of paper with some questions. And if you answer those questions, it will help you to be clear. There was a balagan here with the buses, I understand. We had to wait for half an hour stuck in the buses here to get here. So maybe some people came a little bit late, I understand. But who got a sheet to fill out? And who didn't? And raise your hand if you're not answering. Simon says. Okay. That is, the reason why I handed out those sheets is to give you an opportunity to clarify inside yourself what it is that you want to ask or what you came for. Also, if you want to share with me your email address, I will send you a lot of good information that goes beyond the scope of this presentation, so that if you didn't get a sheet, you can just fill it out and leave it there at the end. Now, I want to make an observation. So I'm looking around. I'm a big biofeedback machine, by the way. I notice, pulse and pupil dilation. I'm a specialist in Ericksonian hypnosis. So what I'm noticing is that almost nobody, maybe really nobody, I don't want to look too nobody's breathing in this room. Nobody's breathing. And that's one of the first neurological, physiological responses to stress and trauma and fear. You stop breathing. And you don't need to be a doctor to know that if you're not breathing, your muscles aren't getting the oxygen it needs, your brain isn't getting the oxygen it needs, you can't function and help yourself. Because one of the things that I'm going to help you with tonight is to empower you so that when you leave here, you feel more powerful, you feel more equipped, you feel more able, you feel more confident. That's one of the goals for tonight. Okay? And one way of building resilience and building sense of self, because you can't have resilience is, when we say Moda Ani Lefanecha in the morning, the Ani comes before the Lefanecha. If you don't know where you are as Ani, there's no relationship. And that's the same thing between you and yourself. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to first pay attention to how you're not breathing, so you know where you're starting off from. Okay? Because a very important Jewish, you don't mind if I bring Torah Jewish principles into the talk, do you? Is that okay? Huh?
I said you're in Har Nof.
Oh, I'm also a rabbi, so I can't help it. In any event, Sur me rava aceto. The first thing is to get rid of the rock. If you have a kos, if you have a kli, if you have a glass that's filled with something, you can't put something else in it. So if your inside is filled with fear, or doubt, or whatever it is, and you want to, with greatest motivation, do something positive, you can't put anything in because it's full. So first notice where you are in your breathing. And then give yourself permission in a real loving way, not to be critical and not say, what's wrong with you, I'm not breathing. So I'm going to take care of myself. Dr. Simcha's right. I want to feel more alive. And take a deep breath and notice what happens. And take another one. Just breathe in and breathe out and notice, okay, because we're going to talk about three very key things: awareness, relationship, and responsibility, in that order. The first thing is we're becoming aware, we're becoming self-aware. Because there's self-aware, there's outer aware, there's inter-aware. Give yourself permission to breathe more. Now, if you want to, it would be a nice thing to close your eyes for a moment so you're not distracted. And you might want to utilize the idea of Erev Shabbat, where the Creator is breathing life into the first human being, and make that connection to life when you're breathing right now. Breathe in the quintessential breath, the archetypical life breath. And let that go into your lungs, and from your lungs into your heart, your physical and your emotional heart, because your physical and emotional heart need life and need connection to the source of life. It's a wonderful source of resilience, a wonderful source of empowerment, that God is giving you life in this moment, regardless of whatever else is happening in the world. God is giving you personally life in this moment. And whatever other feelings of discomfort you might have, notice how much you can open your heart and open your body and open your mind to receive that gift now. You might have resentment towards God, you might have anger towards God, you might be pissed off, you might be disappointed, whatever it is. But right now, you're getting the gift of life. And to feel that all the way down your arms to your hands and all the way down your legs to your feet. And as you exhale, pay attention to where you have stress in your body and breathe it out. So you're emptying out from your cup over there, and you're making room to breathe in the next comforting, healing breath to that place. Now, I asked you to be aware of your breathing. I'm now going to ask you to be aware of something else. And since everybody's eyes are closed, you're all very safe. Nobody's looking at you. You're in your own safe space. And so what I'd like to ask you to do, only if you want to, and only to the extent that you want to, notice your muscles. If your legs are crossed, if your arms are crossed, notice if you are allowing your body to be physically relaxed or not. And again, make that awareness, then it's A.A.C.I. Notice where you're at, get rid of the negative. You might be holding it in your jaw. Some people have TMJ, you know the expression, bite the bullet? Let go, let your jaw relax. It might be your creative chakra, your throat, your center of creativity. Let your throat open as you breathe. It might be your solar plexus, maybe you're holding in your stomach, or in your buttocks, or in your legs. Just to allow your shoulders to relax. If you're holding the weight of responsibility on your back and shoulders, put it on the floor. And add to that mix, little by little, a little more self-respect, self-appreciation, and even love. Because love is a key ingredient of resilience. Love for yourself and allowing yourself to receive healthy love from people who relate with you in healthy ways. And I'm emphasizing that. It's very important that when you're receiving love from other people, make sure that it's healthy depending on how you're receiving it, so that it affects you only positively. Now we have more awareness now. And you don't need to be writing. Much better to let your subconscious mind be so fed and absorb what you're hearing and experiencing. Trust your subconscious mind to learn tonight and to make whatever positive adjustments you can experience. And you will naturally, spontaneously take that home with you. And that's another very important aspect of resilience. Knowing, acknowledging, utilizing, trusting the resources that you have inside yourself. And I want to say something very important about this. Baruch Hashem came into my mind on the drive on the way here. Oftentimes, in fact, you know what? Right now, stay in that relaxed state and open your eyes. But continue to be in a relaxed state of acquiring information. You're going to acquire a lot of good information. But give yourself permission to relax.
Can we get a copy of this, what you're going to, what is it?
Water?
No, can we get a copy of it, and I can do that?
A copy?
So, you're giving this...
Ask questions after this.
You'll be able to get information from me afterwards. It's fine. You'll be able to, if you want to, even come to my office and talk with me, whatever you like. But right now, you will be able to benefit better by experiencing than by writing. And that's why I invite you to come and join the circle instead of being in the back of the room. Come join the circle. So, I want to share with you what I was thinking in my car coming. Very important. But I want you first to put up a shield in front of you. Because the first thing on the list, you have a list of stuff you're going to take home, but I have a much bigger list. Come over here. It's all right. You make it in the pizza between them and come a little bit farther away. Okay. This is very, very important what I'm telling you. So please listen very, very carefully. One of the most important things that you need to know, Nikuda, one of the most important things that you need to know is how to protect yourself and shield yourself in the right way from harmful stimuli. That means don't look at the news every 5 minutes. When they had on Arut Sheva the video of the catastrophe that happened yesterday, I said to myself, that's something that my brain does not want. Because we know, and Torah is very strong about this, the sha'arim, the gates that we take things in. It's very important to know how to protect yourself and that don't look at things that are disturbing. Children come to me with fears and phobias because they forgot that they saw a movie 5 years earlier. That's still playing in their head. So don't go there. Okay? It's bad enough that it's happening. If you need to know the basic things that are happening, so once, twice a day, you look what's happening, or you ask somebody else to filter it out for you, depending on who you are, how much you can handle. And it's important to have a good assessment of what each of you can handle. And not to take, because people get addicted, by the way, to negative stress. That's why some people don't know how to relax. When they relax, they feel uptight, because they're addicted to the stress hormones. Be careful about that. Very careful. Do not get addicted to stress. Get addicted to relaxation. And right away, what do I play in my head? 100 patients tell me, oh, but if I relax, I'll never get anything done. Nonsense. If you relax, you'll work more efficiently and more effectively. So don't be afraid of relaxing. It's a good thing to do. And if you know how to shield yourself in the right way, then you don't have to be afraid if you relax, somebody's going to kick you in the stomach. Because it's not going to reach you. Okay? So when we're talking about resilience, we're talking about a combination of dynamics and skills. We're talking about being able to protect yourself, to know how to let things come in and not come in, how to interact with them, and how to utilize inner resources and external resources to help you to be strong and to what they call bounce back and to move forward. So shield yourself. Put a little, 1 second. I want you to imagine, and this is good for relationships, it's good for work, it's good for your kids, it's good for your parents, it's good for whomever, and the clerk at the bank, whomever. You have an imaginary plexiglass or semi-permeable membrane shield over here, and you first assess how safe is it for you to let in closer what's being said or coming towards you. The more you trust somebody, the closer the barrier gets, and that's what intimacy is about. you're intimate with people who you trust. You let them talk about deep things. You talk about your deep feelings. You don't talk about your kish, you don't let your kishkas out to somebody who couldn't care less or somebody who's mean or nasty. Okay? So you want to put that shield now, practice now tonight. And when you hear me talking about things, say, that's something I'm going to take in. Maybe you say something else, that's something I don't want to take in. I'm going to leave it here. Now, what was I thinking in the car on the way here? What happens with fear and trauma is people close down. They stop breathing, they get that fight or flight, right? You know what happens when the headlights hit the deer on the Route 17, you hold you whatever, right? The deer freezes. And then it gets hit by the car. You don't want that. Fear causes freezing, lack of functioning, fear. Then you start having negative thoughts. You, person, can start having negative thoughts. And then you forget that you have the abilities that you have because you are disconnected. And once you're disconnected, kaput, you're a victim instead of a survivor. When you allow yourself to stay connected to yourself and your own experience, then you can know what you need. And when you know what you need, then either you have it yourself, you can acquire it yourself, or you can ask somebody else for help. Okay? So again, I'm going to recap a little bit. First thing, don't let in harmful stimuli. Okay. Second thing, create, and this is something which probably most of you don't know how to do yet, but maybe tonight you will learn how to do that. How to create a healthy, positive, productive mind, body, heart, spirit set. Okay? Would you like to learn how to do that? Who would like to learn how to do that? Raise your hand if you want to. Because I don't want to do things that you don't want to do. If you want that tonight, let me know. You don't want that? Go home. No. Right. You don't have to answer me. You want to tell me why you don't want it?
I think I'm here for something else.
What are you here for?
It's a little more personal.
Or something personal?
Not terribly personal, but I think it's a little different from...
Would you tell me now? So I can have it in mind while I'm talking?
All right. Our son was miguyas during the war. He was an A.A.C.I. And we had a lot of trouble doing that.
What kind of trouble?
There was a lot of fear.
Okay. Now, I have to ask you a question. Firstly, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I'm talking about learning how to create a relaxed, positive state. Why wouldn't somebody in your situation want that?
I don't think... My impression is that you're dealing with fear of what might happen during the Intifada or what might have happened during the war.
Yes.
Fear of bombs, of attacks, that sort of thing. I think this is, at least as far as I can tell, what I'm feeling is a little more personal, something that I have absolutely no control over.
That's right. And when I worked with a soldier who was in a war where he was in a house and a missile went through the door and killed his two friends in front of him, and he couldn't eat or sleep or do anything, he was totally frozen. I had to go up north to work with him, and I taught him. That was pretty personal. His buddies died in front of him. I taught him what I'm talking about. Because that's one of the things that I believe, I'm not telling you who you are, but my sense is that would be very helpful to you. And that this is applied to very personal situations. So I'm going to say something if it's okay with you. Can I be personal with you? Sure? And I'm saying this to everyone. Sometimes there are things inside of us that keep us from receiving or doing something that's actually very helpful. And if you're in that place, it could be anger, frustration, it could be who knows what, okay? I know what, you know what, but we don't have time to talk about all the things. If that's happening, it's good to figure out what it is and get rid of it so you can get what you need. Because it's almost like that 2-year-old child that says, until I get this, I'm not doing anything else. And some of those other things we really, really need. So I'm going to invite you to learn how to do this and see for yourself if it's going to help you with your personal stuff. Because you're probably still holding inside some physiological and emotional and psychological, I'm going to say negative energy regarding your experience with your son and the war, correct?
Okay, I'm not sure I understand where you're headed.
You still feel bad inside because of what happened? Is it still affecting you?
Not really. I think now that the situation has changed.
Okay. Okay. I mean, skill, take what it is, or don't, how you like it, whatever works for you. Okay? But most of the people really like to learn how to do it.
I just wanted to expand for a second. I think
I don't want now for the interaction between participants. We're not at that place. Okay. Bear with me. Who still would like to experience how to feel better inside? Okay, we've got 90%. Okay. Close your eyes. Put your feet flat on the floor. Sure. Close your eyes. Put your feet flat on the floor. And either choose or ask your subconscious mind to choose an experience that you would experience in which you feel good, in which you feel happy and calm and comfortable. It could be from yesterday, it could be from 50 years ago, it could be from tomorrow, imagine. And allow yourself to experience that positive experience with all of your senses. And if it causes you to smile, it's okay. If it causes you to breathe more deeply, that's also all right. And if it causes you to even distance from the negativity that you've been going through, that's also fine. In fact, if you want to, you could create a biosphere for yourself in which you can create, in that biosphere, exactly what you want. Color, temperature, texture, aroma, lighting, whatever you like can be in that place. We're going to call it your safe place, your fun room, your clubhouse, your treehouse, your beach home, wherever you want it to be. In outer space, I don't care. And make any changes or adjustments that you want. You can even bring anybody you want in there who's still alive or no longer in this world. Or a wise guide, or Sarah Imenu, or Moshe Rabbeinu, anybody you want, or an animal that you'd like to pet, or somebody who you would like to be hugged by. Maybe you want to imagine God holding you in God's arms and giving you comfort. Whatever experience you would like. that feels comforting, nurturing, strengthening, accepting of you. And allow your focus to be enjoying being involved in that positive experience. And if there are any distracting thoughts that come and let them go like bubbles in a glass of soda going to the top and disappearing. And even give yourself permission not to feel guilty and not to feel responsible. Just to give yourself a little time, space, place of relaxation, of feeling good, of feeling okay, of real self-acceptance. I'm okay. I'm alive. I'm breathing. I don't have a root canal that's hurting me. I'm really okay. And that it's okay to be okay. It's even okay to be happy. You know, there are Jewish jokes about that. What do you mean you're happy? You know? Because sometimes people don't tell you it's okay to be happy or to be relaxed. What do you mean you're not working? What you accomplished today, you're only as good as your last show. You're only as good as your last accomplishment. It's not true. They're lies that we were taught. Give them back to whoever gave them to you so that you can give yourself permission right now to just be. Like every star in the heaven just shines. Doesn't have to do anything else. And every rose just has to give a beautiful aroma. And every song has its beautiful melody. And allow yourself to get in touch with your own personal, unique vibration, your own song, your own inner song. What oat are you? What letter are you of the Torah? And to know that you're absolutely necessary in this universe. And it's good that you're here. Now I'm going to stop talking and I want you to make that space that you're in even better. Give yourself what you want. That's right. Breathe more deeply now. Let's do that deep breathing together. Let's feel the energy in the whole room just get bigger. Let's feel your boundaries expanding. Like you're as big as a star, as big as a planet. Give yourself more space. Notice how you've contracted and now give yourself permission to expand. Believe it, unless you want one. If you're aware that something is getting in the way, notice what it is, and then you can work on that later. You might want to imagine, and there's really no reason to write right now. You're cheating yourself if you're writing. Because the paper doesn't need this either. receive the love, the kindness, the chesed that exists in the world, even though there's all this other stuff that we don't understand. Just now in your biosphere, experience the positive. Everybody knows that the first letter of the Torah is a bet, which is like an open parentheses because nobody understands what's on the other side. Nobody. So just give yourself the opportunity now to experience the positive. And you might even want to imagine you're experiencing this positive at home, in your living room, or in your kitchen, or in your bedroom, or with your children, by yourself, at work, even at Ronald. When you're ready, and it feels right for you, you'll bring those positive feelings back to the room and let your eyes open when you're ready. And allow yourself to continue feeling comfortable. I think it's a wonderful sign, Baruch Hashem, that so many of you haven't yet opened your eyes. But I promise you, you can have this experience as often as you want. You can learn how. When I used to lecture for Princess Cruises, I used to talk about how to take the cruise home with you. You can do it. I'd like you, if you had, and please be honest, if you had a positive experience, if you liked the experience that you had, raise your hand. Okay. And if it was neutral, raise your hand. And if it was negative, raise your hand. Okay, so we have everybody positive and 3 neutral. That's better than I anticipated, actually. That's great. That's absolutely great. Now, for the 3 of you who had a neutral experience, my intuition tells me, and I could be 100% wrong, but my intuition tells me that it has to do with how much you allowed yourself to connect to the process. And we're not going to talk about that now because the way it works, unfortunately, just the way it is, if there's a room full of people and like this is more than 90%, it's in one place, I need to focus on that, but I promise you I am happy to help the 3 of you if you want help, only if you want it, how to get there. You'll speak to me later. Okay. Is there anybody that could share something about what was positive about the experience? Yes. And I just want to let you know, the camera that's being videotaped is only on me. Nobody knows who's here. Nobody knows who's speaking. This is for people who need to have this kind of help who can't come. Okay, so you still have your anonymity. Yes.
The experience I had was of calmness, peacefulness.
Speak a little louder because there's some people who got it.
The experience that I had was of calmness and peacefulness, and it was a lot to do with connection, different levels of connection. The only thing I was going to ask you is, in between doing it, I found in one spot, tension in the neck, which is, couldn't explain what it was, and in and out.
Wonderful. Remember it and speak to me afterwards if we have time in the Q&A, or if not even afterwards, I will stay to speak to you. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Well, first of all, it was a very relaxing experience.
Now, let me ask you a question. Would you be more relaxed now if your foot was still on the floor? Try it out and check it out. Go ahead. Yes, it was relaxing.
But also showed me, for me, what things I like doing and that make me feel good. So it also...
That's great. This is a very important principle, and it's one of the things on my list to talk about tonight. It's really important to know what turns you on. If you don't know what feels good, then you can't do it. Maybe you love Beethoven, but you've never heard him, So it's very, very good what you did. And it came to you naturally, right?
Yeah.
In other words, you didn't know, it just came to you. But
No, he said to go to those places, go to that place. It was a few places.
great.
But
And you're smiling and laughing. And it's contagious over here. Right? Good. Who else would like to share?
Well,
Yes.
I actually went there, but my mind wandered.
It's fine.
And it wandered to a place that I worry about.
Okay. That's okay.
So what do I do with that piece that I worry about?
Do you want to share what it is?
I remember that I passed the driving test for something that I thought I wouldn't pass, which was very good, and I felt my heart expand and all the physical manifestations. But then I remembered all of a sudden we're doing the war. I was very worried about how my son is going to manage if he's caught outside with 5 little kids, one of who has cerebral palsy and can't walk. So you have to run to what we call the Makom Magan. And I remember the tension that I felt until I heard that, even though I knew maybe cognitively that
Okay.
everything's probably okay.
So I'm going to tell you there are things to do, but we're not going to talk about that now. And that's something that you might want to speak to a professional about. I have a specific issue. How can I get over that? Okay? Who else would like to share something about your experience? Anybody else? Yes.
Actually, I felt that disconnected from a reality which is very negative as of now.
Great.
And even it was like through fantasy, but I felt, well, sometimes I need it in order to kind of
That's
calm
right.
myself down.
That's right. And some people say, very good point. Here's a very important point.
Can you
Okay?
repeat it, please?
Sure.
I felt disconnected from
She
some
felt disconnected from things that were
negative
negative.
reality.
Okay? Even though there's some negative reality, she was disconnected from it. And what I'm going to say, this gets back to denial, not denial, stuff like that. Okay? There have been so many times, unfortunately, that you have to ask yourself on the same day, am I going to a shiva caller away? Right? It's the way it is. And sometimes you go to both. I mean, I remember going to a Brit in the morning and a shiva call and a wedding, in the same day that could happen. Okay? So, the bottom line is, okay, and this is true from a psychological perspective, it's true from a Torah perspective, and good psychology does not, there's no stira between that and Torah, obviously. The bottom line is that you have to survive, and you have to not only survive but thrive, and you have to be there in a positive place. And if that requires going into fantasy land for a short period of time, nobody's talking about, okay, I'm going to become psychotic and live in a fantasy world for the rest of my life. I'm talking about saying, you know something? For a half an hour, I'm going to watch a cartoon. I'm going to watch Bugs Bunny. That's going to be my reality, And I'm going to laugh. Because you know who Norman Cousins was? Cured himself from cancer. Of course, God helped. Right? All the endorphins, he closed himself up in a hotel and watched the comedy. Because the endorphins that happen, in other words, when you're having fun, it physiologically helps you. Now, when you're stressed out, you have cortisol that wipes out your system. And I want you to know something. this is very interesting. If you breathe diaphragmatically, as opposed to from here, it literally changes the biochemical happenings in your body. L'tova. Okay? So one thing is just to learn how to breathe diaphragmatically, and you can practice that by putting your hands on your stomach and feeling your stomach go out. If you do that for 10 minutes, every 2 hours, you will be a different person. Biologically, emotionally, and mentally. Just doing that. Okay? Now, I have been told, unfortunately, that I have to limit the amount of time that I can spend with you tonight. So I am going to move forward. Okay, first I want to tell you something. I'm really happy to be here with you. I am really, really happy, and I'm really happy that you came. And I got to tell you something. After I gave all these lectures in Ashdod and everything else, and went to a house of a person where the wife's husband had suddenly died, and the children, and they were still in mourning way after, I burned out of it. I'll tell you honestly, I burned out. Not totally, but I burned out. And my being here tonight with you, and doing something positive, and utilizing my skills that God has helped me with, to be able to give to you, strengthens me.
Did you ever talk to this one?
Some regards. So I want to thank, okay, and that's it. You see, you can't let little things bother you. If ever let, some people, I remember I took an old pond class and somebody's phone went off and the teacher went berserk. Okay, so the phone went off. You know what I mean? Okay, the phone went off, so I made a joke. Okay, you can't let little things bother you. There's only big things going on. Okay, but I want to thank you because you're making my dream come true. I grew up in New York. I met LA from LA. It's true that it's amazing to do hypnosis in Hebrew with Israelis. But the fact that I'm here talking with you and Simcha Sheldon has something positive to do instead of look at the news is great. Thank you. Thank you. And Achdut is one of the #1 things, as my wife pointed out last night. Achdut is one of the most, or Achdus, depends where you come from, is one of the most important things that increase resilience. Because the first thing that God says about the human being is that that human being is created in God's image. And what's the second thing? The second thing God says about human beings, what is it?
Is it connected?
No. Lo tov v'yot adam levado. Don't be alone. Well, it's connected to what you were saying. Okay? It's so important. Achdut. That's what got us through. It was amazing what happened this summer when the kidnapping happened. And Chilonim and Dati and Kibbutz Shuga and everybody. Dati Rumi. Everybody did it together. And we know historically from our history that when the Jews are together with Achdut, we win the wars. Even during the time of the Beit HaMikdash, we were Ovdei Avodah Zarah, we were doing idolatry, but when we had Achdut, we won the wars. Imagine. It's very powerful. So Achdut is with yourself. It's also with your spouse, with your friends, with your community. Very important. Another thing that's really important is acts of chesed. Because when you do good acts, when you do good things, I like the word act, it's not acting, it's the real thing, right? When you do good things, you're making yourself and the entire world brighter and better. So, I can't stand this. This world is like so messed up, man. It's just like totally bad. You do something positive and nice, you just made it better. And then you don't feel hopeless and helpless and alone and bored and disconnected and frustrated because you did something positive. Imagine if I was sitting home tonight, oh man, I have nothing to do again, What am I going to do? Watch the news again. Another nuclear bomb is on its way. Khomeini said he wants to wipe us out again. What's going to happen with Kerry? But somebody from our yeshiva sued Abbas because he's Jordanian. Baruch Hashem. It's on at their shop. Amazing! They're now suing in international court Abbas because he's Jordanian, so they can sue him. She did something positive. Somebody just made an app an alarm clock for your Android. It'll only stop ringing if you smile at your phone. It's just in today's news. What a great idea! Right? Now, that was just an idea. I said a sentence. It was a bunch of sound waves that went through the room, and half of you laughed. And you had endorphins, and everything was brighter for that moment. And we have to do that because, you know, the Torah commands us to be happy. Why? Because it's hard. There wouldn't need to be a commandment to be happy if it just came easily. But it's something that's a great, great skill. I want to so that I feel that I am doing the right thing. I'm happy that you're enjoying this. That's not true that I'm doing the right thing. The reality is what in the world did I spend all of these hours writing all of these things to share with you? I'm going to go through some of them. I'm told that I have 20 minutes? Is that right? I have 20 minutes. Okay. Then what happens? I turn into a pumpkin? I'm thrown out.
There won't be electricity.
Okay, so I just want to let you know, it's not my decision, it's the decisions of the powers that be, and maybe they have to lock up the building. Okay, so I'm going to go through some things. Well, let me give you the choice. You want me to give you some skills right now? Or do you want to ask questions? Who wants skills?
Skills or questions?
Who wants questions? Okay, skills. Okay. All right. And if anybody wants my card, you want to call me, you want to work with me, I'm happy to work with you. Okay? I do very practical problem solving. Tell you just what I do so you know what's possible for you. Okay? When something's bothering you and you might not even know what it is, I help you get in touch with your subconscious mind. You know what the real source of the problem is, because lots of therapy doesn't work at all and is even sometimes negative because people are working on the wrong issue for 5 years. Okay? So the first thing is to know what the real issue is and fix it in the source. Like making a pond that became treif, make it kosher, you have to make it kosher the way it became treif. You need to know what it was. That's what I do. Very practical, to the point, deep, heart, soul, head, body, integration, understanding, and growth. So if you're interested in that, and it goes beyond the scope of what we're talking about tonight, call me. Be happy to see you. Number 1, avoid exposure to harmful, unnecessary stimuli. We already spoke about that. Sur me'ra b'aseit. Learn how and when to experience and avoid strong emotions. Everybody has their strength and weakness in their cleat, in their emotional vessel to handle things. Don't take upon yourself more than you can handle. Okay? And the fact that you can handle something doesn't mean that you have to take it on either. Okay? Because anybody in this room right now would probably start crying if they thought of a particular thing, or would start laughing if they thought of another thing. No chiyuv, it's not responsibility to be miserable. Okay? Or guilty. Okay? Okay.
Could you repeat number 2, please?
Yeah. Learn how and when to relate with or experience strong emotion, strong negative emotion. Hopefully everybody can handle positive emotion, although not everybody can either, actually. Okay? Number 3. This is like ABC. You have to have proper nutrition, proper exercise, proper sleep. You have to take care of yourselves physically. If you don't, forget about all the other stuff, because your machinery isn't working. Okay? And this is like really important. If you're doing caffeine and sugar, well, of course you're going to be a basket case. Okay? All right?
L'chaim.
Okay? So put out your cigarettes
Okay.
and stop all the drugs. Okay. 4. Maintain a healthy state of awareness and mindfulness. It's important to know where you're at. Okay? Very important to know where you're at, because like you said before, if you don't know where you're at, you can't do anything about it. Affirmations, meditation, and self-hypnosis are wonderful, yoga too, are wonderful tools and techniques. If you learn how to go into a relaxed state of focused concentration and connection with yourself, and you learn how to use affirmations, what's an affirmation? More and more, I I am experiencing being relaxed. Every day I am letting go of the fears of my past. Okay? I can give you 100 of them. And you can get books, you can go online. You know who's great?
Louise Hay.
Louise Hay.
Louise Hay, by the way, before she was famous, was a guest in my holistic health and healing class in Santa Monica, California. It was amazing. She's very good, Louise Hay. Get her a little booklet. And also, what's her name? Something,
Gwen.
Beth Ruth Knapsack. Amazing. Go to Kaiser on the web, and they might still have all of her MP3s. They're great. Go to sleep listening to them. They're fabulous. Okay, let me continue. Let me continue. Okay? Shh, shh. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Engage in stress management and stress reduction activities. Chayav, you have to.
Such as?
Exercise.
You want to know something? Exercise, this is clinical studies. Exercise work as well as antidepressants. Ad kedei kach.
Or better.
Huh?
Or better.
Or better, without the side effects.
Walking.
All right, so
That's why
enjoy your walk. Okay. Identify and give your body, mind, heart, and soul what they need to cope effectively. That's a lecture in itself, okay? I'm going through this quickly, and my wife said, you know, you can't do that. You have to talk about each one, but I was given a time limit, so what can I do?
We understand.
The select of you and
Okay, so I'll tell you a little thing, okay? What does your mind need to function properly?
Sleep.
Sleep, there you go. What does your heart need to feel emotionally good?
Chocolate.
Love.
In the right amount, it's a great thing. Chocolate's good, but listen, at least 70% chocolate, not the 80% sugar.
No, the one that's 80% chocolate.
That's right. If you have some, I'll have it with you. Give me a piece after the talk.
Oh,
Okay.
I might have it.
Now, relate with yourself, your family, and people around you in a caring, patient, understanding, and healthy way. Patience is important. Patience is really important because lack of patience stresses you out, and stress stops you from coping. Okay? How do you do that? I'll give you a very quick, easy example. Okay? I'm really annoyed because the person in front of me online at the supermarket is, you know, going to get another cantaloupe. Wow, thank God I'm not in the hospital. You know? Just the juxtaposition of where you could be and where you are. The fact that you're sitting here, and in Eretz Israel, okay? I was bummed out a number of years ago because my dreams weren't coming true. And I have lots of dreams and there's certain things I really want to do for Am Yisrael and stuff like that. And it's more difficult for me in Israel than it was in LA. And I went to my friend Jeff, a great radiologist, Jeff Jacobson. And he said, Simcha, you have to remember the fact that you made Aliyah wasn't that like a huge dream? So when all these other things aren't happening, the fact that you're here in Eretz Israel and not that, you know what that means? That means you're a witness. You're a witness of the Navi that said, Kibbutz Galuyot, you're here, you're here. You are the expression of the Jewish people. You. In real time. So if this little thing isn't happening, or this thing is happening, and everybody knows that Chazal say 3 things, Niknim be Yisurim. Now living in Eretz Israel, if you want to live in Eretz Israel, you have to deal with that stuff. Okay? Speak to your local rabbi. Now, it's important to utilize support from relationships. And if you don't have that kind of relationship, that you can really have loving acceptance and support, do what you need to do to get it. Whether it be therapy, reading, whatever it is, because in my opinion, it's one of the most important aspects of being a human being. And if you're leaving that out, you could be a Nobel Prize winner, but at the end of the day, you know, like the Beatles said, and in the end, the love you make is equal to the love you take is equal to the love you make. You know, it's true. And if you're not making love, if you're not having loving relationships with your fellow human beings and with yourself, chaval al hazman. Because after Shema, that's the first word, v'ahavta, you know. Very, very important. Emotional health, psychological health, physical health. Very it's very based on having love in your life. And if you're having a problem with your spouse or with yourself and whomever, get help, work it out. Most people have problems, even though they might not tell you. It's worth working it out. Maintain and strengthen self-confidence, self-worth, and self-esteem. How do you do that? Excuse me, stop writing for 1 second and tell me, what can you do to increase your self-confidence?
Right.
To do things and see that I can get good results. To make my goals and my achievements.
I'm just going to put something out there which I find is an important issue, maybe not for you, but for lots and lots and lots of people. They can achieve and achieve and achieve and achieve, and they still feel empty inside. If you are such a person, there's hope. There's something you can actually do to change that. And it's learning how to love and appreciate who you are, and not just what you do. And if you don't know yet how to love who you are, it means like you, like probably most people, didn't get the best parenting, so you didn't learn that. But it's not too late. You can actually learn how to do that. And it's kedai. Or kedai for, right? It's to live for. It's a good thing. Okay. Acknowledge engage in self-acknowledgement on a daily basis. Acknowledge your goodness. How do you do that? Identify who you are. Identify the goodness, not just what you do, but your values, who you are, what kind of human being you are. And if you don't like yourself, become a better person. It's okay. Feel competent by using your strengths. Engage in creative problem solving. Life is about solving problems. God created the world, according to our tradition, imperfect. That's why we say in Kiddush on Friday night, Asher bara Elokim la'asot. God created and we do. It's our job to olam. So if things don't seem like they're right, that's exactly the way it's supposed to be. Don't feel bad about it. Everybody was created. In fact, a human being, in terms of a baby and an adult, is the farthest away from adulthood. But we have the greatest opportunity for growth. So if you're missing something, that's why when we say in the bracha, why are we blessing God for what's missing? Because what's missing gives us the opening and the opportunity to do something good. We're almost finished, Sheila. Okay.
That's a positive statement.
Huh?
That's a positive statement.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And that includes when you find something chaser inside yourself, don't be bummed out about it. Say, you know something? And this is very important. I just learned this from the Maharal. The Meir Friedman, his shiur was wonderful. I have to share this with you because it's deep Kabbalah. And it's very, very important to know this. And it has to do with the two says that go to Azazel and to the Korban, etc. I'm not going to talk about it at length because we don't have the time, but I'd love to. Chata'im and this negative stuff are not really essentially connected to the neshama. The negative stuff that you have in your life, even if it feels like, my heart, I'm dying inside, it's not your neshama. It's something that's going on that you're given that challenge and opportunity to be mitakein, to fix. Very important, because we all have things that we don't like about ourselves and things that we're frustrated about. Don't identify who you are in your essential self with the difficulties that you experience. Say, I'm here. We're the guardians of our children, right? We're the guardians of ourself. And it's our job to fix these things, but it doesn't mean you're a bad person, because you're not a bad person. You were given the job to fix certain things. And those things that you need to fix aren't essential to you. I wish I could talk more about it. I wish I could do a guided imagery about it. And if, you know something, if you folks would like to sometime just get together again as a group, I'll come and do it with you. Okay, you decide. Now, this is good, I'm enjoying this. See yourself as a survivor, not a victim. Very important, I can't say more about it. Evaluate your situation with love, respect, and kindness. Don't be self-critical in inappropriate ways. Identify your weaknesses and take appropriate strengthening action. Participate in activities with yourself and others that are personally rewarding and strengthening. Think positively and optimistically. Be hopeful and thankful for the good and thankful to God if you believe in God. If you don't believe in God, it doesn't mean that this lecture doesn't count. There are all kinds of things that you can do even if you don't believe in God, because all of the dynamics exist anyway. Okay? So if for anybody, if I've offended anybody, or you feel you can't connect as I talk about God in my talk, you don't need God in order to do these things. Theoretically. Of course, I believe that you could do it without, but that's a different story. Next, be creative and have time for enjoyment and fun. Fun and enjoyment is good. Okay? Next, accept that change. Okay? We all know in systems theory, things don't like to change. Things like to be static, right? That's inertia, right? Be the way you are. But the truth of the matter is that the definition of one of the definitions of life is change. The only thing that doesn't change is death or God. But if you're alive, you change. So if you need to change, it means you're going to be more alive. Okay. Be realistic in your goals and activities. Take positive, clear, decisive action. Look for opportunities for positive self-discovery and growth. Like I said before, keep things in perspective to be much worse. Brother showing A.A.C.I and Auschwitz. We're really in perspective in a good place. And we have the Iron Dome. It's a good thing. Maintain a hopeful outlook. Engage in activities that build self-worth, confidence, and esteem. Strengthen your emunah and bitachon. I don't have time to tell you how. And embrace life itself and connect to the essence of who you are and the goodness and the light. Look, in this room, there's so many wonderful people who came together to do something positive.
Dr. Sheldon, thank you very, very much.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you again. Before I forget,